Okay, with the 14th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Derek Barnett, defensive end, Tennessee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 14th episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, I'm Jared, alongside Kyle, and we got a pretty packed episode today. Do we not, Kyle?
It is draft episode, so damn right we do.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, NFL Draft just recently concluded. We're starting this just pretty much 20 minutes after the draft ended, which means it's Saturday. So yeah. But also, in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the NBA and NHL playoffs, which, of course, are currently going on. The NHL playoffs are in the second round, and the NBA playoffs are also in the second round for the most part, except for one series, which will be played tomorrow. So by the time this is up, both playoffs will be in the second round. To kind of just hop right into it, the Eagles, they, like we said, draft just recently concluded, and they made some selections, as every team did. So Kyle, if you'd like, you could run through them. I've talked a lot so far, so you could run through the picks, kind of break down a little bit. We'll both do some kind of, we'll say how we feel about the picks, and then we'll give the team a draft or a grade and how we think they did.
So yeah, first round, Derek Barnett, defensive end from Tennessee. That was their 14th pick. They did not trade back like a lot of people, including myself, expected them to do. Second round, they selected cornerback Sidney Jones from Washington. Third round, they went with another cornerback in Rasul Douglas from West Virginia. Fourth round, they had two picks. The first was Matt Collins, a wide receiver from North Carolina, and running back Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State. Fifth round was wide receiver Shelton Gibson, also from West Virginia, and Nathan Gary, who is technically a safety, but the Eagles are going to make him a linebacker, so there's that. And sixth round, their last selection, they traded back a shit ton during the fifth round.
Yeah, they did.
So they lost their seventh round pick during all of that, and their last pick, which was the sixth round pick, is Elijah Qualls, a defensive tackle, also from Washington.
Yeah, so the team needs, obviously, going into this draft were cornerback, defensive back in general, defensive end, just defensive line in general, and some skill positions, wide receiver, running back. So when we got pretty much out of our 8 picks, we got what we needed, pretty much. I'm pretty content with the draft.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say, one thing that I wish happened that didn't happen during the draft was a different running back instead of Pumphrey. I was on the Jamal Williams high from, freaking not 5 months ago, but, a few months ago, I've been, obsessed with Jamal Williams and Kareem Hunt. They, of course, then select Williams, and he went 2 selections later to Green Bay because that's the most just Eagles fan thing to happen. The player that you want gets taken a pick or 2 picks after the player that they actually pick. So it's typical, but it's a good draft.
For sure. I would if obviously this is. It's way too soon to be drafting or to be grading the draft, because we haven't seen any of these guys on the field yet, and we won't for another 5-6 months. But at this point, based on their performances in college and based on what the team needed to improve upon their 2016 record, I would probably give this draft at least in the high B's grade. I would probably give it towards a B plus A minus range. I think I'm just gonna stick with a B plus just because the point you said, with Pumphrey being the running back that they ended up choosing, he has gotten a ton of comparisons to Darren Sproles, and nothing against Darren Sproles because he's a really good football player. He's great on special teams. He could do a lot of stuff. He's quick out of the backfield. And Donald Pumphrey is pretty much the same player, just, he's a little bit different in some ways. But he's not as good at special teams. But who is as good at special teams as Darren Sproles?
Yeah,
but
you're going to be tough pressed to find someone who's good as Sproles on special teams.
Yeah, but, that's Matt Collins, so, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but, I don't know, like you were saying, like the Jamal Williams hive, like you've been on, Kareem Hunt, like all those guys, he was I believe, yeah, Jamal Williams was there at 118 when we took Hollins, correct?
Yeah, because,
yeah.
Williams wasn't selected until after we took Pumphrey, which is partially why I'm, more upset with it.
Oh, I thought Williams was there at 118, but then not there at 132.
Yeah, I'll check it again,
wasn't.
but I'm pretty sure that they, that Williams went right at 2 picks after we took Pumphrey, which is why I was so pissed, because I'm like, he slipped to basically the 5th round, and yet they still didn't take him. That's what I was pissed about. And yeah, so they took Pumphrey at pick 132, and Williams went to Green Bay at pick 134. So, yeah, it's, again, like you said, he's drawn a lot of comparisons to Sproles, and I don't mind that, but we have Darren Sproles. We don't need another one. And I get people are saying, oh, well, Sproles is getting up there in age. Yeah, that's true, but he's still, getting it done. There's no reason to replace him yet. And they immediately said after they picked Pumphrey that they wanted a power back. Well, Jamal Williams literally is a power back. I just don't understand their thinking there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Pretty much that's the only thing holding this class back from being probably one of the best, if not the best, in recent memory. Because Derek Barnett, really good pick at 1. Sidney Jones, if he doesn't get injured at the end of his season, he's he's for sure a first rounder, probably a top 20 pick. Rasul Douglas, he dropped a little bit. Mac Hollins, same as Sidney Jones. If he didn't get injured, he was probably going day 2. So that means 2nd or 3rd round. But he ended up going day 3 in the 4th round. And then Elijah Qualls, his draft stock plummeted for whatever reason. He was projected, I think, 3rd round into early 4th. And we ended up grabbing him in the 6th round. And so, and then Shelton Gibson, I believe, too, he dropped a little bit. But we got a lot of guys that we could have gotten earlier but ended up not getting, only to get them later on. So,
it was a very efficient draft.
It was really efficient. Like Kyle said a little bit earlier, we traded back. We had a really good trade back, in my opinion, with Miami. I think it was the 5th round trade. We gave them the 164 and the 194 for the 166 and the 184. So basically, we moved back 2 spots to move up 10 later on. So I really liked that move for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the better moves that they've made in really recent draft history. And I know that's kind of crazy to say because it's just a 5th round pick, but just from a value standpoint, moving up 10 spots and only moving back 2 in the round that you're picking in, that's really good value for what you're getting. And the player they pick with that 184 is Nathan Gary, who I had known nothing about him, and I didn't really know much about the later round guys. I knew about Barnett and Jones, Douglas, some less so Douglas, but still. Gary, I watched film of him, and he played safety at Nebraska, and I immediately was like, okay, he's very good against the run. He does not know what the hell he's doing against the pass. And immediately there was a tweet that said they were gonna make him a linebacker, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm fine with this pick now.
I looked a little bit too as well, and like you were saying, you could just watch and see okay, well, yeah, he's not very good against passing, and we're kind of in a division where there's some decent quarterbacks.
And it's the NFL. We're in a pass-heavy league.
Yeah, very true. And it's a good thing that we're pretty solid at safety too. So we don't really need. I mean, sure, his ability that he'll be able to play safety if absolutely needed is a positive. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but but then it also adds depth because he pretty much is going to add depth at linebacker and then be pretty much an emergency safety if anything happens. So that's how he's obviously,
Yeah, if he's in at safety, it's for run-stopping purposes only. Like, they are heavily expecting the run game, because I don't think they're ever going to put him in a situation where he has to, like, defend against the deep pass, because he gets so lost out there that it's just going to be a nightmare if he gets put out there. But, again, like you said, it was a really good draft. They addressed a lot of needs. I wasn't the most happy person when they picked Derek Barnett, and I kind of feel bad about that, because now I've grown to like the pick more. It was... The thing with the Barnett pick and with the Pumphrey pick is kind of the same thing for me. I'm not so much mad at the player they picked as it is the fact that, like, who they passed up. I was mad that they passed up on Reuben Foster at 14 because I was like, holy shit, Reuben Foster fell to 14. Like, that's a huge person that you could get as a complete steal. And the same thing with, like, a Jonathan Allen. Obviously, Jonathan Allen in a kind of a lesser sense because his shoulders are just a mess, and I didn't know that it was as bad as it was. Like, I knew he had issues, but I didn't think it was as severe as it was. Obviously, teams know way more about Reuben Foster than we do, because there is no way with the information that... Yeah, he went to... Like, there's no way that NFL teams have the same information that we have, because... There's something else that's hidden that we don't know that's wrong with Reuben Foster, because there's no way he falls to 31 if NFL teams have the same info we have.
Yeah, and his talent's a top 5 pick easily.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And you can't even bring up the off-field stuff with Reuben Foster because you're nitpicking to the highest extent if you're trying to criticize Reuben Foster's character. But... Yeah. It's the same thing with Pumphrey. Like, I was mad that they passed up on Williams. I like Pumphrey. Like, I think he's a better... Like, he is Darren Sproles, but he's better between the tackles, which is nice, but it's also, like, Darren Sproles isn't god-awful between tackles either, so it's... I feel like they just made a move that was really unnecessary. Like, they acted like they didn't have Darren Sproles, or that Sproles was going to retire at the end of this year, which... barring anything crazy, I don't think happens.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, all valid points, obviously. I was a bit confused, like, as well when they passed up on Foster and even Allen, pretty much, because everybody's like, if Allen and Foster drop this far, like, the Eagles are sure to take probably one of them. And then they ended up taking Barnett because, obviously, as we kind of have come to learn, like Kyle said, the shoulder... with Allen and Reuben Foster's injury as well. Both more than we ever really learned of before, after they were picked after the first round was pretty much over. So just to talk a little bit about each player that we did draft. We'll start obviously with the first pick, Derek Barnett. He's a defensive end, like we said. He's out of Tennessee, and he at Tennessee he broke obviously Hall of Fame Reggie White. He broke his sack record, I believe, and he's watching some tape and just watching highlights that ESPN's been showing and other obviously like all these other networks because it's the draft. Like who doesn't show it? But just like watching him, he's gonna be really solid on our line because our line with Fletcher Cox, we signed Jernigan in the offseason. Obviously, everybody else on our line, because like a lot of people are saying that he's a slow starter. He's a little bit slow on jumps off balls. That it's fine really because with how good our line's going to be, there's going to be other guys there to pick up slack. So. I don't know. I'm like Kyle said when the original pick came through, I wasn't as because like I remember I was watching Kyle and seeing what he was doing and he was livid a little bit for a little bit there and then we had some of our other friends calm him down, but
Yeah, John may have just told me to chill the fuck out a bit.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. But like, yeah, just like kind of watching him. I think he's gonna be a really, really, really good addition to our line. And like I was mentioning, to add to an already very good defensive line. So
yeah, that's kind of like the underlying thing. Well, no, okay, I'm not. It's not really the underlying thing. That's kind of the main thing here. Is the fact that he's going to benefit so much from the double teams that Fletch will receive and that Graham will receive. So everyone's going to be paying attention to those guys, and Barnett's is going to use that ridiculous rush.
Speed on the edge.
Yeah, his speed on the edge is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best thing about him, but it's also the thing that concerns me, because you watch his tape, he does the same thing every time. Like, I don't think I've seen him go to the inside once on like any kind of rush, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if your move to the outside is as good as his, but you kind of need to get creative a bit facing NFL linemen. So, I mean, again, it's not like it's a huge concern, it's just a little something that I'm going to be watching as the preseason goes on and training camp, and just see how he does with that, because he's got amazing talent. Like, the thing that I was annoyed with too was just the fact that like defensive end is just not what everyone was expecting. No one thought they were going defensive end. It was linebacker, it was cornerback, or it was a running back. And I think running back was kind of off the table as soon as McCaffrey went off the board, because everyone's like, well, we're not going to take Dalvin Cook, I guess. Which, I don't know, were there people wanting Dalvin Cook in the first round? Because I didn't see many, but...
Yeah, I don't think there were too many who were... Especially, like, with how many defensive guys dropped. There's no way that anybody would have preferred to take Cook in the first round.
Yes, and thank you to the Bears and the Chiefs for just fucking everyone's mock drafts up the ass. Because...
Oh, yeah.
Mitch Trubisky is a second overall pick. Holy shit. And Pat Mahomes went before Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That was... Yeah. But, because... Well, okay. If you didn't hear, obviously, what the trade was, the Browns moved up one pick to the 49ers slot. The 49ers slot. So the Bears were third, 49ers were second. The Bears moved up one slot, and they gave them their third. They gave them like the number 3 overall. They gave them did they give them, I think, a third and then like a next year's second or something like that?
I think it was like 2/3 and then okay, it was either like a third this year and a third next year, or cause I thought I saw 2/3 this year and a fourth and a third next year. But that I'm not sure if it's that crazy, but
they gave them a ton. Basically, the Bears gave the Niners a lot of picks to take, and like the thing is, the Niners probably weren't even going to take Trubisky.
They were not. Like, they knew the whole time that they were not taking Trubisky.
They didn't even need him, because you figure if you want a quarterback that bad, and then, like, speaking from the Niners' point of view, if you want a quarterback that bad, you're not going to listen to this offer too much if you know that they're probably going to pick him.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I really don't know what the Bears were doing, especially after they signed Mike Glennon to a deal this offseason. So
Mike Glennon gets
18.5,
and then you go out and trade way too much for a guy who made 13 career college starts. I don't know what the Bears are doing. I don't even think Chip Kelly would have been that dumb.
Yeah, really. Pretty much. So then to kind of move to our second round pick, Sidney Jones. Like we said, Sidney Jones, he dropped a lot because of his injury. He was on a lot of people's big boards a projected first round mid to late-ish, so like anywhere between 15 and 25. He was a lot of people had him there had it not been for the injury that he suffered, but he ended up dropping to us in the second round at 43, and so we got him. We snatched him up. He is a very, very, very aggressive corner. I think he'll fit well into the scheme too because Jim Schwartz obviously he loves to play coverage. So, and you need to have pretty aggressive corners if you want to play coverage because if you play coverage with passive corners, you just get burnt pretty much all day. So, I like that pick as well.
Yeah, Sidney Jones. If the Eagles weren't going to get Kevin King, Sidney Jones was next on my list, and the Eagles get him. And they said that they valued Jones in like the top 14. It's just the injury, obviously was a factor. And I've heard a lot of people if you watch. Did you put on CSN at all after they made the Jones pick?
No, I didn't.
They were freaking the fuck out. Like, you would have thought the Eagles picked some guy who was shot in the freaking heart or something, and they picked him in the second round. They acted like, oh, he's not going to be back until October, it's the end of the world, and it's like, I'm sorry, were the Eagles actually contending for a Super Bowl this year? Does it matter that they picked a guy who's not going to be there until October? And quit acting like October is fucking week 17, the final week of the season. It's not the end of the world. Sidney Jones is, the Eagles aren't going to
really
be
good.
A contender this year for a deep playoff run. So what does it matter if we took a guy who's going to take a little bit longer to get in the lineup? And his talent is top 15 talent. You got him at 43. He's worth it at that point, and he's going to be amazing when he comes back. And he's already in a walking boot, I'm pretty sure. They acted like his recovery was going so poorly, he's going to take forever. And as far as I know, unless everyone's just making shit up, his recovery time is improving from what they originally thought.
Yeah, and obviously, injury always red flag. That's why all these guys drop.
Yeah.
But still, to get him at 43, a top 15 talent, always a very good thing. And he'll be a good fit in the system and in the scheme, Jim Schwartz's scheme as well. So then our third round pick, Russell Douglas, got him at 99. A lot of people expected us to trade up from the 99 into the 60s to 70s range because that's where a lot of mid-tier running backs were expected to go. And but Howie Roseman stood his ground, didn't move, and stayed at 99 and ended up getting a very good cornerback in Russell Douglas. So he is going to be there was a lot of so they had Bleeding Green Nation's Ben Nayton. He had him at his 14th best quarterback. Bleeding Green Nation's Johnny Page had him at his 16th best cornerback. That just shows you how deep the corners were in this draft, by the way. We're getting 15th best corners at almost not even 100 yet. So, defensive backs were in high demand during this draft, but he has really good talent. He'll probably he's gonna be a good corner. He's gonna fit in the scheme as well. He exactly like Sidney Jones. He's not as aggressive or as talented as Jones. That's why he went 50 picks lower. But he always pretty much is in a receiver's face. He's gonna get batted balls. He's gonna get interceptions. So fan of this pick as well, but
Yeah.
I like the pick where we got him, but if we could have used this pick to move up into the 60s or 70s and got a running back possibly, then I would have been more content with the pick, but still the outcome, I like it.
Yeah, and I want to get your thoughts on this. What were you thinking of? Because I know there were a lot of rumors about this, about if the Eagles would have traded Jordan Matthews to get another third round pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, and obviously hindsight's 20/20, but as the draft went on and they got Matt Collins and they got Shelton Gibson, who are both deep threats, who are both big play threats, I would have been fine with it if they were to trade Jordan Matthews because, especially with how much obviously wide receiver talent we brought in Torrey Smith, we brought in Alshon Jeffrey, and then like I said, we drafted Matt Collins, we drafted Shelton Gibson, so we have a lot of guys plus Treggs who he might stick around. I'm not sure. Dorial Green-Beckham, not sure, but Nelson Aguilar, he'll sadly be here, but who knows? Maybe Aguilar could get it together this season, but probably not.
Like he's gonna kind of have to, because the Eagles aren't gonna cut him because the cap hit's gonna be way too high, and that's why I was really in favor of trading Matthews, because I knew that a lot of people, and myself included, but maybe to just a lesser extent, I was on for Chris Godwin from PSU, and he would have been really good to get because I think he would have fit in well for the third receiver, and he could have just played the slot really well, and you really wouldn't have missed that much with J-Matt. And I don't mean to be so down on Jordan Matthews because he is good. It's just he was used as a number 1 receiver last year when he's a number 3 receiver at best.
Yeah.
Maybe a number 2 at best, but it's just he's not a star wide receiver. That's sad and it sucks, but that's just the way it is. Jordan Matthews, people love to talk about how Carson Wentz didn't have the greatest year. Jordan Matthews was his number 1 receiver. Put Dak Prescott with Jordan Matthews as his best receiver and see what he does. He's not going to have that great numbers.
If you put Jordan Matthews on the Cowboys, he's maybe their 4th best receiver. He's their 4th best receiver. Yeah,
easily
behind Dez, behind Terrence Williams, and behind Cole Beasley.
That's the thing. He's below Cole Beasley. That's how you know it's bad. Cole Beasley, the little shit that he is. But
well, 5th technically if we're counting Jason Witten. So
yeah, shit, that's right. Well, and that was another thing. I'm not gonna sidetrack on this too much because I do want to get into the other picks. But O.J. Howard was another possibility at 14, and not as many people were upset that they didn't go with him. But if you pick O.J. Howard, for one, Zach Ertz has to go. You got to deal him because there's no reason to keep him at that point. You're making O.J. Howard your number 1 tight end. Selleck is just, a complimentary tight end. You probably could have gotten decent value for Ertz. Probably, maybe just a little bit less what you would have gotten for Matthews. But just to go back to the 3rd round in Douglas, I like, taking 2 corners back-to-back because there were a lot of cornerback talent. And Douglas is really good. I like him as... the thing with Jones and Douglas is they're both really tall corners, and that's the way to go. I like having size at corners because there's so many big receivers like Dez, like a Julio Jones. There's all these guys. I'm blanking on every single other one, but you need tall corners to really succeed in this league, I think, nowadays. And really, just in general, tall corners are the way to go. I don't like drafting guys who are 5'11" playing corner and they have to guard fucking Dez and Julio and have to put up with that all game. That's just not smart, in my opinion. But, again, I like the pick. I think they should have traded back at some point. I think stockpiling picks was the right move in this draft. They didn't really do it, but Douglas is still a decent steal at 99.
Yeah, for sure. And how you were saying, tall corners is the way to go. I saw a tweet that was the identity of the Eagles right now is that they'll be big at corner and fast at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
I agreed with it to an extent because we know that we have a good quarterback in Carson Wentz and whatnot, and a pretty good offensive line, pretty solid defensive linebackers and whatnot. Pretty much the only question mark on this team right now is running back and defensive back. Even though we got defensive backs in the draft, they still haven't played in an NFL game yet, and one of them's injured. So, yeah. But fourth rounder, to move on from that, fourth rounder, we had 2 of them, like Kyle mentioned before. First was Mac Hollins out of North Carolina. Now Mac Hollins, he's a bit of an interesting pick. So like we said previously, he was a projected second day pick, but he was injured, so he dropped to the 4th round. We got him at 118. He is a very good coverage, or he's a very good special teams coverage wide receiver. So look for him to be inserted into there. But also, he is a very good deep threat. So apparently, he led the FBS in yards per reception, I believe, at like 24 yards a reception or something like that. 23.4, I want to say. And I want to say about 1/4 of his career receptions were touchdowns in college. So, yeah, so big play depth or big play, ceiling, I guess. And overall, I'm not, ecstatic with the pick, but I like it. Like it's a solid pick, especially getting him at 118.
Yeah, absolutely. Him and the guy we'll get to later in Sheldon Gibson. This draft, I think they really wanted to focus on in the later rounds, getting weapons for once. And again, I think a lot of people kind of forgot that we got Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith before this. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people were just obsessed with Corey Davis, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, all these guys, and it's like, you do know that we did sign Alshon, right? And he's not exactly a guarantee to not come back. Like, the Eagles have a decent shot to bring him back, especially if Alshon likes what he sees and wants. It's not like we don't have a wide receiver. We have Alshon. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people just kind of blanked on that, I feel like, with the Corey Davis hype. And that's not to say that Corey Davis isn't great. He went number 5 overall for a reason. But,
Yeah.
he was not... Wide receiver and running back were not the most pressing needs, especially in a draft that was so defense-heavy, and even just running back and wide receiver-heavy. Like, there was so much talent late in the later rounds. Again, like we've said, Kareem Hunt, Jamal Williams, Pumphrey is still one of those guys. James Conner from Pitt, Wayne Gallman from Clemson, Deontay Foreman, which I don't know how the hell his name is Deontay, because it's literally just like Donta. But, like,
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
But he was... he went a lot higher than I thought he would because of his injury. I didn't think he would go as high as he did. I think he went, like... he went, like, right before Kareem Hunt, basically. And it's an awesome story. He went to Houston, and he played at Texas, so... And his story is great. I'm not going to get too much into it, but he's an awesome dude, and I wish him the best in Houston. But... like, and I kind of lost track of what I was going with there because I keep fucking sidetracking. But Matt Collins, again, like, he's gonna be another weapon for once, and again, like, I feel like Jordan Matthews should have been dealt as soon as Matt Collins was picked, because I just don't see the need to have Jordan Matthews now. Like, you're not going to trade out. You're not going to be able to trade Aguilar. You're not going to cut him. Now you have Matt Collins. Like, what's the point in having Jordan Matthews there? Like, he's not going to be back probably. He's going to want a decent amount in free agency. At that point, I think you got to trade Matthews, but we'll see what happens. It's, at the very least, it's still more depth at wide receiver, which they needed. So
Yeah.
it's still a good pick. Like, it's a very good pick for a guy who was projected to go day 2 had he not broke his collarbone.
Yeah, and he'll probably be in there because, like we were saying, he is a very prominent big play. I can't think of the word. I'm completely mind blanking on what the word is. A big play threat. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a very big play threat, and he'll probably be in there. Second, third down, second and long, third and long. And we need a first down, obviously, because that's the goal of football. But yeah, so our other fourth rounder, Donnell Pumphrey, running back out of San Diego State. We traded. Did we trade up to get? Yeah, we traded up there to get him.
Yeah.
When we traded up, everybody was like, "Oh, it's got to be Jamal Williams," but then we ended up taking Pumphrey instead. Pumphrey had over 2,000 yards last year in college, rushing. And like we were saying, he is a pretty much Darren Sproles 2.0. He's very undersized, but he's quick. He's going to be patient. Pretty much, if you watch Darren Sproles, just take that and then replace the nameplate on the back with Pumphrey, and that's pretty much him. So
try to see which one is which, because they're basically the same guy. But
pretty much, yeah.
did you see why that they traded up? Because I just saw this in a tweet. I don't know if you saw it yet, but
No, I didn't.
the Cowboys apparently really liked Pumphrey, so yeah, the Eagles wanted to trade up and prevent that. Which
there were people like when the Eagles, I forget if it was when they drafted Hollins or Pumphrey. I want to say Hollins, but then it started to pick up after we got Pumphrey too. But there was the Dallas Nation or the Cowboys Nation on something on Twitter or whatever. They were like, the Eagles selected Mac Hollins, damn it, good pick or whatever like that. And then they were like breaking Carson Wentz as their quarterback, so none of this matters, right?
Oh.
And I retweeted it. So I retweeted it, obviously, because
just because of troll.
Dallas doesn't know what they're talking about, man. So, because Carson Wentz is clearly going to be better than Dak Prescott, because you give him somebody other than Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar to throw to, and he'll do fine. But anyway, to get back on track. But yeah, so Pumphrey, like we said, Darren Sproles 2.0. He'll be, he'll be in there. Not as much just because whatever, but like Wendell Smallwood. Right now, probably our number one back, because Ryan Matthews, pretty much once he is healed from his injury, he'll be released. So yeah, to move into our fifth round, Sheldon Gibson, wide receiver out of West Virginia. This is where we traded down with Miami. So Miami got the 164, which was where we were, and then they also got the 194. And then we traded to 166 and 184. So, and I really like that draft, like that trade, like we said before. But yeah, Gibson, very fast.
Yeah,
he's pretty much like Hollins, except probably faster somehow. So
and much smaller. He's
much
a bit skinnier.
Yeah, bit skinnier. Like some of his weaknesses, displays focus issues, pretty much basically Nelson Aguilar's issues, is some of Sheldon Gibson's, but less prominent.
And also, we didn't waste a first-round pick or whatever it was on him, so
yeah,
makes it a little bit better to sacrifice for some of those issues.
Just a bit, yeah, just a bit. Also, really quickly here. Just kind of get off the picks. The undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
So right now, the Eagles. This is just as of right now. Because I'm don't realize I'm telling this because it's not gonna matter in a few days because everybody will know. But currently, the undrafted free agents that the Eagles have signed are Brian Cox, defensive end out of Florida. Center Tyler Orlowski out of West Virginia, quarterback / wide receiver Greg Ward out of Houston. They also signed a punter out of Ohio State, Cameron Johnson. This one I'm a fan of this. Corey Clement from Wisconsin, the running back. Trey Sullivan from Shepherd, a safety. Billy Brown from Shepherd, a tight end, and Marcus Oliver, a linebacker from Hamilton.
These colleges,
I'm really good. Yeah, I'm a Shepherd and Hamilton. Yeah, like, what are we in, like 19th century Rome? Anyway, I'm a really big fan of Corey Clement. That signing.
I don't know much about him, and I feel bad now because I don't.
He was projected to be drafted for sure. But I'm not exactly positive when. Let me just look it up here real quick. Let me look up his thing here. So yeah, he was a projected 6th-ish round pick, and he ended up not being drafted. He's out of Wisconsin. I really like that because, obviously we need running back depth because Wendell Smallwood is currently going to be our number 1. And
nothing against you, Wendell.
Yeah, along with Darren Darren Sproles, and he is, so hopefully, Corey Clement can kind of prove some stuff. Prove some people wrong.
Yeah, I just looked up his sports reference page or whatever, his stats in college. And I see his size, and I'm like, oh, well, there's the power running back. 5'11", 227. He's most definitely there to be a power back, and that's what they wanted, and, you could have gotten that with Jamal Williams, and there's a siren blaring outside of my...
somebody is injured or something. My house is literally right next to, like, it's like a fire siren, basically. So, sorry for everyone's eardrums. We're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah. It will. You know what? If only this had come during the hot take segment, that would have been such a good timing.
Oh, it would have been fantastic.
God damn. Maybe it'll happen though. It does tend to happen a lot. So.
Maybe. So to move to the next pick that we had. So Nathan Gary out of Nebraska, he was a safety, but then now they're moving into linebacker. He is wow, that is loud. That is extremely loud. Wow. He's 6'2", 218, so he'll be able to move there somewhat seamlessly, I guess, if you want to call it, because 6'2" is, it's 6'2", 218 isn't like crazy good linebacker size, but it's doable.
The thing that's going to work for him is speed. Like I think that's what they really wanted there, because again, when I watched film of him, he was so quick getting to the ball on run plays. Like he sniffed that stuff out like right away. So. Yeah, like you said, it's not great size for a linebacker, but he's going to make up for it with his instincts.
Yeah, and especially when we're probably going to be getting rid of, at some point, Michael Kendricks. So,
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be getting rid of. And then our final pick of the draft, obviously before the free agents, Elijah Qualls out of Washington. He's a defensive tackle. Also a very good pick. He was supposed to go very early. He was supposed to go in like the third. His projected rounds were rounds 3 through 4, but he ended up dropping all the way down into the 6th round where we got him. He is 6'1", 313 pounds.
That's a big boy.
So, yeah, very. And so obviously he's gonna be in the middle there, and he'll be able to drive back some guys on the offensive line, because 313 isn't necessarily easy to hold back.
No. It's typically very hard to deal with.
Yes.
But so I hate doing draft grades, but again, like Jared said earlier, if I have to give this a grade, it's probably going to be a B+. It's an absolute A if they take Jamal Williams, but fucking Howie hates fun. I'm just gonna blame Howie because that's what everyone does. So I'm just gonna blame him for all this.
Yeah, I'm around the same B+, A-. It would be a surefire A-, probably an A if they did take Williams, or if they were able to take Hunt or somebody else of a better stature running back in the earlier rounds, but. That'll really do it for the Eagles portion. That was probably the longest. Well, I'm not going to say that because we did talk a little bit about the Eagles a lot last week.
But even then, this has been...
But even then, yeah, we got into some serious prospect talk, and we'll be getting to some prospect talk a little bit later with the Phillies. But first, we're going to get into some playoffs. So the NHL playoffs, they're in the second round currently. So the Blackhawks got swept in the first round. Fantastic. We already knew that. But the Blues advanced, the Ducks advanced, the Oilers advanced over the Sharks. The Penguins beat the Blue Jackets. The Capitals beat the Leafs. Ottawa beat the Bruins, and the the Rangers beat the Canadiens. Surprisingly, no Game 7s. I probably would have expected a Game 7 out of at least Edmonton and San Jose, possibly St. Louis and Minnesota. Same thing going with probably the Bruins and Ottawa, but all done in 6 games or less. But yeah, now in the second round, we got Nashville against St. Louis. That series is tied at 1. And the Ducks and the Oilers. The Oilers are up 2-0 on the Ducks there. A bit of a surprise. Pittsburgh and Washington, that's at 1-0. They're playing probably right now or just about to start. And Ottawa came back from a 5-3 deficit in 3 minutes and then won it in overtime to go up 2-0. So what are your thoughts currently about the NHL playoffs, how they're going so far?
The Caps broke my heart. I really wanted the Leafs to move on. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but my little Leafs babies. They're so next year. But next year I hope the Flyers are in the playoffs, and then I'll have to be like, oh, the Leafs. They're a very good team. I don't want them to move on. But yeah, it's that Ottawa game today was insane. Jared had sent me basically just an outline of what we were gonna talk about today. And I'd put in the fact that, the Rangers-Ottawa series is tied because there's no way the Sens are going to come back. And then all of a sudden I see a tweet that's like, it's 5-5. I'm like, what? So then Ottawa won. So they're up 2-0 on the Rangers. And I had Ottawa losing in the first round to Boston, so I know absolutely nothing about hockey. So the Preds and the Blues are tied. I think the Preds come out of that series. St. Louis was so lucky against the Wild. If you look at it just from a Corsi standpoint, the Wild dominated the Blues apparently. So usually that tends to mean that the goaltending will eventually give out for St. Louis, and they'll go back to being what they were in the regular season, which was good but not great. Edmonton being up 2-0 is fucking crazy, and I don't know what the hell is going on. Anaheim swept Calgary, and a lot of people thought that would go, you thought it would go 7 games, a lot of people thought that would go 7 games, or at the very least 6, and then Edmonton's just nah bruh.
Yeah,
up 2-0.
Yeah. They're doing well.
Yeah, oh my god, if McDavid leads that team to the fucking finals, and the Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade, I swear to God, people are going to be like, oh, look, Oilers did the right thing. No, that's not... No. They still fucked that trade up, so bad. You gave up Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, and Adam Larson is a good defenseman, but he is nowhere near the value that Taylor Hall possesses.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh up 1-0. They're going to be probably about halfway through their game tonight by the time that we're done recording this. And also the thing that's going on before the Pens Caps game, the draft lottery is tonight, where the Flyers will miraculously... I can't speak. Somehow, since I can't use big words apparently, where the Flyers will somehow leap up to the number 1 overall pick, and they will get Nolan Patrick, and everything will be fine. That's not going to happen.
Exactly what will happen.
Exactly. Poor Colorado.
You heard me here first.
If Colorado does not win this lottery, I feel so bad for them. They had the worst... They had a minus 112 goal differential. That shit is unheard of. The Sabres who tanked for Eichel, that's they were at 113.
Yeah,
that's
the Avalanche. Yeah, the Avalanche were they were a bit of a train wreck this year, to put it in very, very light terms. And
no one thought they would be. That's the thing. No one thought that Colorado would be that bad. They thought they would probably not make the playoffs, but they would contend. They were historically awful.
Oh, they were abysmal.
It's very bad. I don't the 06-07 Flyers, which were just an absolute train wreck of a team, even they weren't as bad as this Colorado team. And that's saying a lot because the 06-07 Flyers had Kyle Calder on their fucking team. And who knows Kyle Calder? Absolutely no one.
Yeah, I was a bit confused when you said that because I didn't know who you're talking about, but
yeah, Bobby Clark. Bobby Clark went a little bit insane that year, so it's okay. I don't think a lot of people really remember who basically like all the players were that Clarkie got. But yeah, the draft lottery is going on now, and the Flyers are coming up. So let's see. Do they somehow? I swear to God, if they put in like the 13th pick, and the Flyers aren't there, I will shit myself. I'm not lying.
we're gonna get some live reactions out of Kyle here, I presume. So, oh
my God!
Yeah, so
what?
the NHL players,
dude,
they're not in the 13.
Oh my God! The Flyers just moved up. Oh my.
Really?
Oh my God.
Wait, are the Flyers gonna get a?
Wait, does that mean they get a top 3 pick?
I think that might mean they get a top 3.
Oh my
pick.
God, it does. Oh my God, the Flyers got a top 3 pick in the NHL draft.
Oh my God.
Dude, if they... Oh my God. Holy shit. Holy shit. Screw format at this point. The Flyers are top 3... Dude, the Flyers may have just won the fucking lottery. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Could you imagine? This will be the greatest day in the history of the Philadelphia Flyers, without question.
I don't know what to... What?
This is,
I'm
you know,
speechless.
Yeah, we're gonna roll with this because who cares at this point? We already had some fire alarms going off.
Yeah, fucking fire alarm should be going off right now. The Flyers are going to get a top 3 pick in the NHL draft. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This is fantastic. But yeah, so the NBA playoffs are also going on. I guess I'll kind of move into this. You know, Kyle could stay freaking out over there, but
I'm watching the draft lottery. Shut up.
So the NBA playoffs are going on as well. If you didn't hear. And all but one series is over. So Golden State swept Portland 4-0. Predictable. There were only, there were 3 sweeps. Or there was 2 sweeps, sorry. Golden State swept Portland and Cleveland swept Indiana. So, the Clippers and the Jazz, they're going Game 7. That will be on Sunday. So, by the time this is up, you'll know who advanced to face Golden State. But, Houston 4-1 over OKC. The Spurs 4-2 over Memphis. Memphis actually made that series a lot closer than a lot of people expected. So I was pretty content with that series watching that one. Boston 4-2 over Chicago. Same thing there. If it hadn't been for that Rondo injury, honestly, I think the Bulls probably could have taken that series. But you know they got slightly unfortunate there as Kyle continues to freak out.
Jared, no, you don't understand.
I understand, Kyle. I understand.
No, there's things happen. There's more. There's more.
So, are they not 3?
No, the Avalanche are not in the top 3.
Oh my! Might.
It's the Devils, the Stars, and the Flyers.
How? What? How
This
are the
is nuts.
Stars there? Were the Stars that bad?
They kind of were. They
okay. I didn't realize they were that bad.
The Flyers. Oh my! The top 3 teams in the NHL draft are the New Jersey Devils, the Dallas Stars, and the Philadelphia fucking Flyers.
So the Raptors beat the Bucks 4-2 in the series. The Wizards 4-2 over the Hawks, and the Cavs, like I said, swept the Pacers. So second round matchups will be Boston against all the high seeds, pretty much advanced. Except for, as we don't know yet, the Clippers and the Jazz. But, so yeah, Boston will be facing Washington. I expect that series probably to go at least 6. John Wall and Bradley Beal, they've had pretty good playoffs so far. Especially John Wall, he's been going off. Toronto against Cleveland, I don't think that game goes more than 5, maybe 6. Cleveland will probably take that series. Don't get me wrong, Toronto's starting 5 could probably keep with Cleveland's, but the depth that Cleveland has and the bench that they have is unmatched in the East at least. And West, so we'll have Golden State against one of the Clippers or the Jazz. Golden State probably is going to sweep again, if not 4-1, 4-2, pretty easily. And then Houston against the Spurs. I think the Spurs have... The Spurs probably match up with Houston better than they do against Memphis, just because of how good their perimeter defense is. So the Western and the Eastern, then they'll. So I'm gonna predict. I'm just gonna kind of, since Kyle's still freaking out a little bit over there, I'm just gonna kind of throw together some of my small predictions here. So. Hang on, is it on NHL Network? Because I could throw it on there if I need. Okay, it's not. Awesome. So I'm gonna say Boston 4-2 over the Wizards. Actually here. So I'm not going off of what I originally projected. I will go into my notes on my phone and look at there. Okay, so I'm gonna go Boston 4-2 over Washington. I'm going to go Cleveland 4-2 over Toronto. I'm going to go Golden State. I'll say Golden State 4-3 over the Clippers. And I will say the Spurs 4-2. I'll say 1 over the Rockets. But Kyle is completely silent still.
Oh my God, they're announcing the third pick. If this isn't the Flyers, they have a top 2 pick in the NHL draft. They have a top 2 pick in the NHL draft.
Oh my God.
Fucking...
There's no way,
dude.
There's no way.
You are not. If I called this, because I literally called it.
It's either the Flyers and the Devils. It's either the Flyers or the Devils getting the
Oh my God!
number
Oh my God!
one pick.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! No! If it's orange. Fuck! It's the Devils. We have a top 2 pick though. We have the second pick in the draft.
Well then, that is awesome.
Oh my God! What just happened?
I don't know.
Oh my.
Flyers 2018 Stanley Cup champions. Let's go.
Holy shit. I'm actually shaking.
The Flyers, just to provide a little bit of context, the Flyers had a 2.2% chance at the 1 pick.
And they literally had a lower percent than they would have had under any normal circumstances, like any other year.
Yeah.
But this year it got lowered because of the fact that Vegas is a team now. Like, Vegas got put in the lottery. So now we had a less of a chance than we would have had last year in this situation. We have the second overall pick in the draft. I don't even know what just happened.
I'm not sure either. So you said who is this? Who is the person going at number 1?
New Jersey, sadly, which.
Well, yeah, but who is the person?
So there's not a consensus number 1 pick, but all of a sudden
so the Devils will screw it up, is basically what you're saying.
I'm hoping so. Okay, the guy that I want is Nolan Patrick. He's a center. Flyers need centers, we all know this. I'm looking up draft prospects because I had no interest in NHL draft prospects, but now all of a sudden, because the Flyers all of a sudden have a second overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
I all of a sudden care very much about the prospects that are in this said draft, and I'm still shaking. I can't.
Hey, since this is a prospect show, let's just do it, man. Let's just throw it in. Okay, so currently, the highest, some of the best prospects in North America at least, Nolan Patrick, Nico Hischier.
Yeah,
it's probably Hischier.
It's like Hischier.
Hischier.
Something like that, yeah.
Casey Middlestat, Gabriel Velarde, Michael Rasmussen, Cody Glass, Owen Tippett, Eli Tolvanen. Okay, well, he's not going to get that low. But basically, so those are North American. And then European, Klim Kostin, Elias Peterson, Lias Anderson, Miro Heiskanen, some goalies, Jake Oettinger, Keith Petruzzelli, Petruzzelli, Ian Scott, Michael DiPietro. Is that? I wonder if that's Rick DiPietro's son. Anyway, your guess is as good as my European goalies. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Olli Erikssonek, and Adam Amon. So, some of the best goalies there. Probably not going to take a goalie because we're stacked at goalie.
Yeah.
But
I know Timothy. I'm like so unable to speak right now that I'm not going to be able to say his name. Liljegren.
Timothy okay.
Yeah, he is probably the top defensive prospect. His name and Nolan Patrick's name are the top two that I've heard, along with Hischier. His name is a pain in the ass. And it would be nice if Google could help me out here with some fucking prospects because all these links are garbage. I can't. Holy shit, guys! I don't think
any of us.
No one.
No one.
I called it jokingly, but like I didn't.
Yeah, you were just. That was hilarious too. You were just completely. You were like, if the Flyers' name are there, I'm gonna scream. And then they were like not there, and you're like, oh my god, the Flyers moved up, and then you're like, wait, does that mean the top three? Oh my.
I like completely blanked. I'm like, wait a second. That means they have a top three because that's how the NHL works. Like if you don't. Like if you're not familiar with the NHL, like if you're not projected to go in the top three, and like okay, the Flyers.
It's basically the same with the NHL and the NBA.
Okay, yeah, it's
like,
it's the same thing.
Like, yeah, like if you're not.
Yeah.
Like you have a very small chance if you're like not top three to get a top three pick. But the Flyers got it. This is the highlight of the season.
My heart like actually hurts right now because of the pounding that it's been. Holy shit. Okay, so guy that I trust with prospect stuff, Hischier or Patrick will be a Philadelphia Flyer. That's from Jake Faringer on Twitter. So holy I don't know what to say. This is... Holy shit, the Flyers have a top 2 pick. The last time the Flyers picked in the top 3 was 07 with JVR.
Where was where were they at? You said they were at 14 or 13?
13, yeah, because they were
Wow.
It was they had just turned over the 14 card and then 13 was supposed to be Flyers and then it was the Jets. The Jets were 12th. Flyers moved up. Yeah, so the Flyers were then not there, and they had a top 3 pick in the NHL draft, and then they had a top 2 pick in the NHL draft. Oh my god!
Hopefully, let's hope that this luck carries over to the NBA draft too.
Bruh.
If the Sixers get 1-4 in the draft. There is a very small possibility that the city of Philadelphia go insane, but that's just me. So now that we know that the Flyers have a top 2 pick in the NHL draft, so that's awesome. Obviously, because the higher the pick, the better the player. Look at me with my analysis.
It's better than I could do at this point because I'm just
speechless.
I can't begin to explain how crazy this is. Like, the Flyers are going to get a top talent in the NHL draft. They're going to get a top 2 player in the fucking... And, like, okay, I've... Just from being on Twitter and, like, this seems like it's pretty much the top 2 consensus players. It's Patrick and Hischier. So, we're getting one of those two guys. There's no way because there's no way they're drafting defense. So they're not taking Liljegren or anyone like that. They're gonna take a forward. They need a center. Nolan Patrick is a fucking gigantic ass human being.
And even if one of these guys drops or one of these guys rises, the top 6 in North America, the top 6 prospects are all centers.
Oh,
and
yes.
in the top 5, 3 of them, or in Europe, 3 of them are centers in the top 5. So
we're getting a top center. We're
getting a lot of really good. Yeah. So basically, the Flyers are getting a very, very good prospect out of this, which is fantastic.
Again, this is fucking insane, and I
think it might be a good time to move into some Phillies stuff to alleviate the stress. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the stress. Sure.
Is it?
Phillies have really good prospects too, and
yes,
they're performing very well, but not as good as Nolan Patrick or Nico Hischier. I mean, what? What did I say?
I don't know. I'm not in here.
But yes.
But yeah.
Phillies, please do it because I'm not gonna be able to go like 2 seconds without talking about Patrick.
Oh yeah. So first off, we'll just talk a little bit about the last week of games that the Phillies have had. So if you didn't hear, the Phillies were on a 6-game winning streak. Which is great because they were second place in the NL East as well. So coincidentally, the winning streak began on 4/20 against the Mets, in which they won that game to win the series 2-3 at Citi Field. I think it was at Citi Field. But yeah, so then April 21st is when they started the series against the Braves, in which they swept them right out of Philadelphia. And then after the Braves series concluded, they had an off day before they faced the Marlins, and the first game got postponed. So I think that game is going to be made up in August, if I'm not mistaken. But then they ended up beating the Marlins in the final 2 games of that series. So technically they swept them, but we'll have to wait till August. But we're just going to say they swept them because they beat them 2 games and the Marlins didn't win any. But, yeah, so, and during that streak, I have some numbers here. So, during that streak, the bullpen, very good. 2.41 ERA, 221 batting average against, and the offense as a team had a 285 batting average. So, very good numbers across the board during the streak for the Phillies. Some individual performances to talk about here. Maikel Franco, he is starting to heat up. He's had terrible luck, to say the least, this year. And his luck is starting to turn to better, I guess. And he's starting to heat up. He had a grand slam against, was it in the Marlins series or the Braves series? I forget.
I think it was
one
Marlins.
of those 2 series. I think it was the first game of the Marlins series.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
And he hit a grand slam to put him up 4-2 early on in the game. Then they went on to win that game, obviously. But yeah, he's starting to heat up a little bit. Michael Saunders also. He has first home run as a Philly, which is good. He's hitting in the he's hitting in the 260s, which is, it's fine at this point. Once his bat starts to come around a little bit more, hopefully this home run could give him a little bit of boost of confidence. Whatnot. Tommy, Joseph, and Cameron Rupp still struggling. Sadly, they're both hitting in the 190. Rupp is hitting 180. Joseph is hitting 190. And they've struck out a combined 38 times. So, not too good there. Freddie Galvis, very good streak going as a 10-game hitting streak. He's in the lineup. He's hitting second in the lineup tonight. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did see that. Which, hey, I mean, he's been one of the hottest hitters lately, so you might as well.
Yeah, and but his errorless streak also snapped, which sucks because we all know Freddie prides himself on his defense. He went 25 games without an error, and that finally snapped. And this one, this stuff. Well, first we'll get to a little bit less. But Aaron Altair, he's been great this whole season so far, which is awesome because, yeah, a lot of people doubted him after last year, and I never did. Just so everybody knows, I never doubted him. All right, Kyle, I never doubted him.
Sure,
and,
whatever you say.
I swear to God I didn't. You could look back at a tweet that I had from like July last year, and I said that he's a part of the team's future. You could look at it. Anyway, but probably the most exciting performance news, Vince Velasquez has been pitching very well recently. He had like I don't know how many strikeouts in his first 2 games, and in his most previous 2 he's had 5 combined. So, and he's gone more than 6 innings in both. So that's great.
Yeah, he has been. That start for Vinny was huge because he needed a start like that where he, kept his pitch count down. He got deeper into a game than what he usually does. The strikeouts weren't as much there as they usually are, but again, so what? That's something that he needs to work on and that he is obviously working on because it's getting better. He's focused a lot on, Sorry, my mind is just a fucking blur right now. He's focused so much on getting the strikeouts, and it's hurt him a lot in games because he's had the high strikeout numbers, but he doesn't get far into games. We saw that in the home opener. We saw that in basically all of his first few starts. But to get a start like this, where he basically was just dominant without striking that many people out, you want to see him strike people out because he's got the stuff to do that. But at the same time, he doesn't. It's nice to see him know that he doesn't have to. And this start was just so huge for him in that sense.
Yeah, and he's been pitching to a lot of contact recently as well. I also saw a thing where I believe in his first 2 starts he had. Oh man, I can't remember exactly where I saw it, but I want to say it was 6 ground ball outs, or maybe 7 or 8 or something like that in his first 2 starts combined, and in his previous 2, he's had 20. So obviously very large improvement there. So hopefully, he could keep that going because that's dope if he can. So, but yeah, so like the trend of this episode has been going. We'll talk a little bit about the Phillies' great prospects to bring them up. So, we're just gonna improv this. We'll kind of flip flop here. So I'll start it out. The team's top prospect, J.P. Crawford. I'm going off Matt Winkelman's list, by the way, because everywhere else is not that great. I mean, he's good, but Matt Winkelman's a wizard, so we're just going to go off him. So this is his list, pretty much, the top 30. Plus I added some in there. So, and these stats are as of Thursday, I believe. Some might be Friday, but most Thursday. So J.P. Crawford, through 18 games and 74 plate appearances, a murky 109 batting average, 230 on base, and 141 slugging percentage, while also striking out 25.7% of the time and walking 13.5% of the time. Also had no home runs, 2 stolen bases. Not time to worry about him yet at all.
Yeah, definitely not. I know a lot of people want to freak out because they just want to assume that he's not going to be as great as what he's been projected to be, but he'll be fine. He's still an absolute wizard defensively. That he has such great plate vision that eventually the hits are going to start coming. That really should not be a question. He's going to start hitting. He's going to get on a hot streak. He gets on one hot streak and he'll be fine. It's true. It sucks to see him start out slow, but I don't think there's any reason to really hit the panic button yet for him.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So then to go into, unless you had anything else to add with JP.
No, yeah, that's really it.
Alright. So next on the list is Jorge Alfaro, which could very well be in Philadelphia very soon if Cameron Rupp keeps playing like absolute dog shit. Rupp has not had the best start. But Jorge Alfaro has, hitting .354 and on-base percentage at .373, slugging a .569, which leads to a .942 OPS. His K percentage is a 25.40. Walks only at 1.5, which it's not. It is not ideal to say the least. But
no, not at all.
He's got 3 home runs. So I mean, I don't think that Jorge Alfaro has really been like he's got a fairly decent eye at the plate. I don't think he's that undisciplined, at least from what I've heard and seen. So I don't think that's really that worrying. Like it's not ideal. It's you would like to have your players walk a little bit more, but it's still not something that's really worthy of freaking out about, especially with how good he is defensively and how well he's just completely crushing the ball to start the year.
Oh yeah, he's been mashing. Like you see, like as for it seems like it's every day on like the minor league Twitter or like the minor league baseball Twitter account or like the MLB Pipeline Twitter account. It's like you see, it's like every day it's always Jorge Alfaro or another prospect that we'll be talking about later, Rhys Hoskins. But yeah, like Jorge Alfaro has been starting out very well, mashing the ball. He has a 488 BABIP, which is his batting average on balls in play. If you didn't know that. And just kind of compare that, he's over 350 points higher than J.P. Crawford's right now, which, you know, it's...
That's so sad.
Yeah, but, you know, whatever. Also, to move on, Mickey Moniak of Lakewood, of the Blue Claws, he's gotten out to a, you know, he was doing a little bit a little bit better. He's kind of cooled off a little bit lately, but he's still playing well. He's hitting 282, 358 on base, has 4 steals, which is good. 400 BABIP. He's striking out 27% rate, walking at about an 8.5, 9% rate. Like I did say, 4 swipes of the bases. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to what he could do once he starts getting into the full seasons and the high minors.
Any way he reaches Reading this year? Can you see that at all? Or
No, probably not. The only way that would happen is if like every outfielder in the system from Reading to Lakewood like died or something. But
I just figured it out because I'm like, I'm trying to imagine a scenario where he just like completely rakes this year, which isn't really something that is that hard to imagine because it's Mickey Moniak. Like we know how great he should be and how great he's been to start the year. Like I don't know, he's the guy who definitely is on the fast track, and I don't think that it's going to take him long at all to really kind of work his way through the minor leagues, especially at the pace he's been on now ever since the start of this year and even when he was in the Gulf Coast League last year.
yeah, he'll like his ETA is probably like, well, it really all depends on what we do in free agency, I think.
Yeah.
Because if we go out and we sign a splash free agent, if we sign Bryce Harper, Moniak's probably going to come up a little bit sooner than he would if we didn't sign him. Because if you figure if we don't sign him, then we don't figure we're ready, per se, yet to win a title. But if we do sign Bryce Harper, then we think that we're ready to win a title. So
Yeah, that's true.
we could kind of afford to bring Moniak up. I don't know. He's gonna be a solid player. Right now he is in Lakewood, so there's a chance he could finish the year in Clearwater, but I don't know. I'm not sure, honestly. But you know, there's a chance because if he finished the year in Clearwater, that team would be exciting to watch. But to move into the number 4th prospect, bit of a rebound year so far. Nick Williams, he's hitting about 280. Oh, this is your turn. What am I doing? Go ahead, Kyle.
I was saying like, oh, well, he's just going. Okay, then never mind. But yeah, Nick Williams hitting 281, 309 OBP, slugging a 406, a 405. I laugh every time you say this. BABIP.
Yeah, BABIP. That is probably one of my favorite stats in baseball, just because how it says.
I swear, I'm just gonna go up to someone one day and just be like, BABIP. I might get
Probably,
punched.
yeah.
I might get punched.
But yeah, there's a chance.
31.9 strikeout percentage. It's Nick Williams though. That's just kind of what he does sometimes. It's early though. He showed a lot of improvements during spring training, so I think that'll balance out as the season goes on. Only a 1.4 walk percentage, 1 home run and 2 stolen bases. So
yeah, somehow
pretty good start.
He has a lower
than Alfaro.
than Alfaro, but
only Nick Williams could have a lower one.
Yeah, probably. Maybe Dylan Cousins, but even he's walking.
Yeah, he's a little bit better.
Yeah, but that K percentage. Wait till you hear this one. But yeah, so yeah, Nick Williams. He'll probably be up this year. You have to think. We said it last year. We know, but this year's different. There isn't as much pressure to kind of get there because of the veterans in front of him now. Of course, at the major league level in Howie Kendrick and Michael Saunders. And even Odubel Herrera at this point, kind of a veteran because he plays like one, I guess, at this point. Except for when he bat flips, but that's awesome anyway. But yeah, I this year's obviously going to be big for Nick Williams and proving that, last year was a fluke and it was an off year. And this year and he'll be different in the future. So now we're going to move into 2 straight pitchers. So first off, Franklin Killamay of Clearwater. That's why I said if Moniak finishes up at Clearwater, that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, Killamay, Clearwater. He started 4 games, 23 and 2/3 innings pitched so far. He's 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA and a 1.23 WHIP, which is walks and hits per inning. And he's striking out about 23% of the batters he faces, and he's only walking about 5% of the batters he faces. So pretty good strikeout to walk ratio there. I've seen a lot of people, especially because I know in his previous start, I want to say Killamay went 7, but he was only at like 70-something, 80-something pitches. Matt Winkelman, I believe, was reporting up on that, and as he always does, because he's Matt Winkelman. But and he said that it pretty much makes sense because it's April. Why would you want to push Killamay to kind of 8 innings? Like it doesn't make sense. Especially with how good Clearwater's bullpen is, holy. But yeah, Killamay off to a good start this season.
If you haven't heard, the Phillies have a loaded prospect pool, so...
yeah, especially in the low minors pitching.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to go into that, our next player, Sixto Sanchez, who I know is one of your favorite human beings in the world.
Yeah.
But granted, he's like everyone's favorite human being because, for one, his name is Sixto Sanchez. Like, who doesn't love
that? Is awesome.
And
awesome.
Can you imagine the fan clubs that he's going to have when he gets to Philly?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Like, for years to come, we will be debating over Mickey Moniak and Sixto Sanchez as both the number 1 prospect. We're going to be having a fight, like, who's the number 1 prospect, Moniak or Sanchez? Obviously once, like, Killamay and everybody. Well, Sixto's going to probably pass Killamay, but anyway. But, like, we're going to be, like, doing that. Plus, we're going to be debating, like, who has the better fan club. Because, like, both of those names are, like, very fan club-esque names.
Very much so. And, I don't even know what I'm saying. But Phillies fans, just... It's going to be fun in a few years. Sixto. He has started 3 games, 14 and a third innings pitched. He's 0-2, and has a 3.77 ERA, which is a little high. But then you look at his whip, and it's a .91. And his...
So pretty much, he's not getting runs.
Yeah. And his K percentage, his walk strikeout ratio, he has a K percentage of 30.4, and his walk percentage is 3.6. This guy is not human. He is a machine.
Yeah, he is insanely good. I can't wait. Like, they're going to be really, really careful with him, especially with how good he is. He's only 19, I think. Maybe 18 still. I'm not even sure. But like he's really young, so they're gonna be clear. They're gonna be cautious with him. He probably won't. He'll probably stay the whole year in Lakewood. I don't see them.
Yeah, there's no way.
Moniak, different story maybe, but Sanchez, no. I honestly like. There's probably because I know they already skipped the start with him. So
Yeah, I mean that explains the 3 games started, and again, like you said, they don't want to rush him too quickly. They want to save his arm because he is quite possibly the best pitching prospect in the oh my god, in the organization, as my brain is just mush. Yeah, he is such a good prospect. Like you said, it's not going to take that long at this rate for him. He's just going to outperform every single player in the in the prospect pool. He's already made such leaps and bounds from last year to this year. So he's already putting up great numbers in Lakewood. It's not going to take long for him to get on the track to Clearwater and then go up to Reading and eventually Lehigh and then of course Philly.
yeah, exactly. Like pretty much a lot of our Lakewood guys are gonna be on a fast track because Moniak, Daniel Brito. There have been a lot of guys who are saying like Daniel Brito could probably be the best of our second baseman prospects, which is crazy because we have Cesar Hernandez right now. Plus we have Jesmo Valentine and Scott Kingery in AAA and AA. So, and for people to be saying that Brito is possibly the best amongst them is some high praise. But to move on, Roman Quinn, he's gotten off to a bit of a shaky start. He was hitting a little bit worse. He's hitting 247 now. Maybe it's higher. I'm not sure. Like I said, these are stats as of Thursday the 27th. Some possibly a Friday, but so yeah, Roman Quinn's hitting about 250. He was hitting lower when I first made this spreadsheet. He was hitting, I believe, like 220 something, or like 2 in the teens, 2 something, like 215 or something like that. Yeah, he's brought it up. He's gotten his on base up to 300. The strikeout rate is a bit concerning. He's at a 30.9 strikeout percentage, which is a bit odd for him and how he plays because he is everybody knows, probably the fastest player right now in the minors and in all of baseball, one of the fastest in all of baseball. And he's only walking about 7.4% of the time. He has swiped 4 bags already though, which is tied with a bunch of other dudes for the lead in the minors. But you know, I don't know. Roman Quinn, he's good. He got time in Philly last year, which is kind of why I'm surprised he got off to a bit of a slow start because you got to think that stint in Philly gave him some kind of boost of confidence to work towards staying there permanently.
Yeah, I would think so too. But also, I don't know if I'm just imagining things or what with this, but I feel like when players get that late call, they just tend to get off to slower starts. I'm not even gonna try to pretend why they do that, but it just kind of seems to be the trend. But I don't think it's something to be really that concerned about. The K percentage is a little bit just strange, really, to me, because, like you said, that's just not his game. He's an on-base guy. He's the fastest guy in baseball, which I love that he doesn't get like any recognition for being as fast as he is. But when Billy Hamilton was coming up, it was, he's the, no one has seen speed like this. It's like, yeah, well, Roman Quinn might actually be faster. So, but he's on the Phillies, so he doesn't get the hype, even though Billy Hamilton plays for the fucking Reds. Yeah. Anyway, I just hate the media, but
they're pretty bad.
Next on our list is a guy who seems to get kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit. Cornelius Randolph, the first round pick from 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was 2015, but so
he
he's
was
batting
10th overall.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he is batting .230. Again, pretty low to start the year, but a good on base percentage of .338, slugging of .393. He has a BABIP of .282, which it's not the best. It could be a bit higher, but the on base percentage is nice to see. and that's shown by his walk percentage, which is a 12.7, and the strikeout percentage is a little bit high at 26.8, but at least he's walking on a fairly consistent basis. And he has 3 home runs to start the year, so that's also a good sign.
Yeah, he is thrown kind of off to the side a lot. Like, we have, obviously, Mickey Moniak, Nick Williams in front of him as better outfield prospects, but still, like, Cornelius Randolph was a first-rounder. And then we get it, like, Mickey Moniak, he was the first overall, and Nick Williams was, I'm not sure exactly what round he was picked when he was in, I think, because he was picked by Texas, and then he came over here in the Cole Hamels trade, but obviously those two are higher prospects just because they're better players, but still, like, Cornelius Randolph was a 10th overall pick just 2 years ago, so
I feel like when he was picked, like, a lot of people just kind of threw it off to the side, like, I don't know, there's just been an air around him of, I don't really get, because he's got a lot of good tools, obviously. Like, he's pretty fast. I know he doesn't have any steals right now, but he's a pretty fast guy. As far as I know, he's a decent fielder. He's just a solid, like, overall player, and he just kind of has gotten
around.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird to see.
Yeah, and then so Adonis Medina, he is in Lakewood right now with Sixto Sanchez, so that rotation is looking solid, along with Bailey Falter and Jojo Romero, who we'll get to a little bit later on. But Medina, 4 games, 4 starts. He is 0-2 right now, but he has a 1.71 ERA with a 1.14 WHIP and a 26.4% walk or strikeout. That would be terrible.
That would be
26.4% strikeout ratio. Or percentage, to go alongside a 6.6% walk rate. So, the 0-2 record really doesn't tell the story behind Medina here. Like, wins and losses in the minors is probably one of the worst stats to go off. Like, you want to be looking at the whip, you want to be looking at the walk rate, you want to be looking at the strike, not as much the strikeout rate, you want to be looking at the walk rate, you want to be looking at those sorts of numbers that kind of just shows a development more than a win-loss, because you don't control really whether you lose a game because your offense doesn't score.
Exactly. Like, wins and losses are stupid in the MLB, but they're even more stupid in the minors just because of how few innings that they pitch down there. You get screwed out of wins like all the time, and it's not your fault. It's like you said, ERA, WHIP, walk percentage, and to a lesser extent the K percentage. Those are the stats you got to look at. So it's not a huge deal. Next guy on our list has not played yet. I'm not sure if he's going to be starting the year with Williamsport, correct? Kevin Gowdy.
Yeah, Kevin Gowdy. Yeah, right now he's in extended spring training.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, he'll start probably Williamsport.
All right. So yeah, and that season starts around June, I want to say.
Yeah, it's about June. Yeah, but it's right after the draft, pretty much.
Yeah. So don't have anything on him yet, but he was the 2nd round pick last year. He performed pretty well in the Gulf Coast League from what I remember last year. So we're just kind of waiting to see what he's got. But I can't imagine that he struggles at all, really. He seems like he's on another fast track like Sixto is and Kilome is, and basically every single pitching prospect that we have down in Lakewood and Clearwater.
Yeah. And then, so Scott Kingery.
Our favorite.
Everybody's favorite.
True.
Everybody's favorite second base prospect. Except for maybe Jesmo Valentin and Cesar Hernandez, but those guys might not be too fond of him. They probably are because, they're teammates in a sense. But anyway, Scott Kingery, he has gotten off to a good start as well. A lot of these guys are getting off to good starts, which is good, obviously, because we want them to succeed. So right now he's hitting at about 283. He's getting on base at almost a 400 clip, which is crazy. His OPS is a 1.014, and surprisingly, that isn't even the highest. That is the 3rd highest OPS of the guys we have here. So we'll get to, obviously, the 2 of those guys in a little bit. But a thing that is a little bit weird is that he's hitting about 283, and his BABIP is only at 293. So usually you see a little bit bigger of a gap between the average and the BABIP, but yeah, it's it's not a huge deal. But he is striking out at about a 20.3% rate, and walking at a 13.5% rate. So, that both of those numbers pretty solid. He's striking out about 1 every 5 at bats, which is, we'd like to see it maybe a little bit lower, a tad, maybe around 15 to 18 or so, which would be perfect. But the 13.5% walk rate, completely fine with that. It's the exact same as J.P. Crawford. So when you have the same numbers in the walk category as J.P. Crawford, I think you're doing pretty decent. And then he has Redding has helped him out a bit. He has 5 jacks and 4 stolen bases to begin the year already, and he's not known for his power, so that's a bit that's Redding.
But also, how did it might just be Redding, but also I kind of called that in spring training. I was like, I think he has more power than people are letting on. 5 home runs to start the year.
For sure.
So
for sure, yeah. It's not all Redding for
Yeah.
It has something to do with it. We all know what happened with Darren Ruff, but
Babe Ruff.
Yeah, but but I don't know. It's still he definitely has more power than advertised. It's just it hasn't shown until now, which is kind of the suspect part of it. But
yeah,
still, I think he's gonna be great. He's gonna be a really good player. I can't wait. I see him probably finishing the year in Lehigh Valley, especially because I foresee Jesmel Valentin coming up. Unless Redding could probably make a deep playoff run, but I know their playoffs start a little bit earlier. So Jorge Alfaro last year, after Redding lost in the second round or whatever, he came up. So, and we still had almost a month left in the year. So, I think Kingery, he'll probably get a month, maybe half a month of AAA under his belt at the end of the year, but a lot to look forward to with that guy.
Definitely. Then on to a guy who was absolutely dominating in Lehigh.
Mashing.
Rhys Hoskins, who, if Tommy Joseph keeps playing under garbage, he might be up a lot sooner than any of us expected to start the year. He is hitting .348, but here's where it gets really good. The on-base percentage is a .434, slugging is at .697, OPS at 1.131, which is the best in the Philly system. We will get to the guy who is second best, because I think there's someone ahead of Kingery.
Yep.
His BABIP is at 370. Then, again, this is probably the best thing about Hoskins is the fact that his K percentage is only at 18.4, and his walk percentage is at 11.8, and 6 home runs to start the year. There's nothing negative about that. Absolutely nothing.
Pretty much. The only thing that you would say is wrong with that is that why isn't he ready yet?
Yeah, exactly. Why isn't he here?
Yeah. You look at those numbers, obviously there's bound to be some negative number if you were to break out every single stat possible, but
who has the damn time for that?
Hoskins has been mashing to start the year. It's been really, really fun to watch him. And just see the whole you go on I was on Fangraphs getting these stats, and if you go into the search engine bar and you type in, you literally just click it and it gives you the auto searches that people have been the most popular searches. Rhys Hoskins is the second most or the fourth most searched minor league player behind Tim Tebow and then 2 other dudes. So
fucking Tebow, I swear to God.
Right.
Who else?
Yeah, so then here's where it gets a little bit, a little bit, wow. Okay, so Dylan Cousins, probably one of the most, the highest ceilings for any of our outfield prospects, or any of our prospects in general. He has struggled, to say the least, to start off the year. So he is hitting at 118, which is a little bit higher than J.P. Crawford. but a hit probably extra. He has a 211 on base, and he is only slugging 250. Even though he does have 3 home runs, his BIP is horrendous at a 156. But then here's where it gets a little bit. So his walk rate isn't awful. His walk rate is at a 10.5, which I want to say is above his career average and like his career kind of just trend. Usually he's in the single digits if I remember correctly. But his K rate is at a 43.4 percent. So basically what that means is that if you add his K rate and his walk rate, so basically 53.9% of his plate appearances, which he's had 76 of, end in either a walk or a strikeout. But out of that 53.9%, 43.4% of it is strikeouts. So not too much of a positive to take from that.
Yeah, he's no, just no to all of those stats except for like the walks, and that's about it, because everything else is just all the fart noises, just all of them. I'm not gonna worry too much about him just because I think that his potential and his just raw talent will eventually just come through and he'll get his shit together, for lack of a better term. But it's definitely not the start that you wanted to see out of a guy who kind of came out of nowhere to have as great of a season as he did last year. You would have liked to see him just keep that up at the very least, is kind of at a lesser rate, but he's just been garbage to start the year, sadly. But
pretty much, yeah.
I think it'll eventually balance out and he'll have a pretty decent year. He's not a guy who's going to hit like 300 or whatever. He's going to be like a 260, 270 guy at most, probably. And he'll be a home run guy, and that's what they're kind of banking on for him, and for the speed, and he's got a lot of that. Didn't he steal like 20 some bases last year?
I think something like that, yeah. But it's like it's like a deceiving speed, but like still, 20 bases is 20 bases, no matter what level.
Exactly. So to go on to one of my favorite prospects, mostly just because he's Canadian, because I don't know, Canadian baseball players are cool. Nick Pivetta down in Lehigh, who will make the Sunday start, correct? He's still making...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, make his debut Sunday against the Dodgers.
And since we didn't actually mention why he's going to be making a start, Aaron Nola did get placed on the 10-day DL. That happened on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
It was retroactive to the 20th, so he'll be off the DL probably either if not by like the day this is because it didn't happen Monday. It happened wait, did it happen Monday? I forget. Basically the retroactive date, which is the only date that matters, is the 20th, I believe, maybe the 21st. And with the 10-day DL, he's only gonna miss 2 starts. So the rain delay last week actually really helped a lot, because that allowed the starters to stay on a 6-day rest and pretty much just to reset the rotation and not have to rush Pivetta into the majors. But yeah. Yeah.
So down in Lehigh, he has been absolutely
stellar.
Yeah. Like I was high on him to start the year, but I never could have predicted his start. In 3 starts and in 19 innings pitched, he is 3-0 with a .95 ERA and a .74 WHIP. With you thought Sixto's K percentage and walk percentage were good. Pivetta has a 33.3 K percentage and a 2.8 walk percentage. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He
was insane at Lehigh Valley. He had a career high in strikeouts against, I forget who it was. It was in his most recent start before getting called up. He had 10 or 11 strikeouts over 7 innings. So he has just been masterful in AAA.
And I can't wait to see what he's got Sunday tomorrow, since today's Saturday.
Can't wait to see what he has yesterday if you're listening to this.
Yeah, because timing and recording things are weird. But yeah. So Pavetta's been balling, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he's got Sunday, and hopefully he puts on a show like he has down in Lehigh Valley for his first 3 starts.
Yeah, and then a guy that is really no longer a prospect, but we have him on this list anyway because we want to know what he's doing. So Andrew Knapp, obviously, with the Phillies now as the backup catcher to Cameron Rupp. Hopefully he gets a little bit more playing time. I've been kind of seeing that a lot lately, and I agree with it for sure because Rupp clearly isn't bringing it. So Knapp, he's only played in 8 games. He has 23 plate appearances, hitting .211. Does have a .348 on base percentage though. His walk rate is really good. He has a 17.4% walk rate compared to a 21.7% strikeout rate, which is a very good ratio. You know, we obviously like to see the strikeout ratio, come down a little bit, but still. And his BABIP at 286 is very good compared to the 211 on base or the 211 average. So you know that like pretty much whenever he puts the ball into play, he's gonna get a hit. You know, he's gonna get a hit a decent amount of the time. So, I've been liking what I've been seeing from Knapp so far. I must say, especially his defense. His defense has been improving. Like you could tell early in the year already, it's been improving.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he's already, I think, passed Rupp in terms of defensive ability. So, and granted, that doesn't take much because it's Cameron Rupp, but
yeah,
it's still good to see him get off to a hot start in terms of really kind of both offensively and defensively. It's not the greatest numbers offensively, but you can tell he's getting better, and his K percentage and walk percentage are pretty good. So that's definitely good to see. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. The next guy we have on this list, I have no idea who the fuck he is, and I have no idea how to pronounce that first name. I'm gonna say Archimedes. Okay, that was kind of close. Archimedes Gamboa. He is in Lakewood. He is hitting.
He's on the DL. Just disclaim, he's on the DL right now.
Oh, okay, that would explain the 6 games started.
Yeah.
He was hitting 280. On base percentage of 321, slugging at 400 on the dot, a BABIP of 300. K percentage pretty solid at 17.20, and a walk percentage of only 6.9. So that's not ideal, but the K percentage being fairly low is a good sign for him. And he has a home run, so.
Yeah. He's not going to be like a flashy prospect coming up. He'll, like, honestly, he probably will stick in between like that 7. He'll probably, like, I probably won't be able to see him coming up above like the 10 range in prospects unless we just like trade everybody for like a really good player. But
Kershaw to the Phillies.
yeah, he probably will be sticking around that. He's not gonna. He could have a future in Philly, but he is a shortstop, so
that's gonna be tough.
We kind of have some dudes in front of him who are a little bit better, but Jalen Ortiz is our next guy. He has also not played it yet this year. He, I believe, is also beginning the year in extended spring training. He'll probably begin the year at Williamsport as well, like we said, starting in about June. He's going to mash probably because he had if I remember correctly, he had some pretty good numbers, some pretty eye-popping numbers in his rookie season. So, yeah, looking forward to what he has to bring.
His power is ridiculous. So yeah, that's definitely going to be fun to see. And is he still a first baseman, or are they moving him to the outfield?
I believe the outfield.
Okay, so I mean, still that's good. Of course, the Phillies have like every single outfield prospect in baseball, so that only makes sense. Next guy we mentioned a little bit earlier, Daniel Brito. Again, absolutely raking down in Lakewood. Lakewood is so fun. He is hitting .337, a OBP of 394, slugging at 465. The BABIP is probably the most impressive thing. He's at 441 in that, so that's freaking amazing. K percentage is at 25%, which is a little high, and walk percentage at 7.3. Not the best ratio, but it's, you'll deal with it when he's got a 441 BABIP, so. And he's hitting 337 too, with almost a 400 OBP, so he's getting on base just fine. 3 home runs so far for him, which I didn't think he had that much power, but 3 home
He really
runs.
doesn't.
Yeah. And he's also got 4 stolen bases, which that makes sense because he is pretty damn fast.
Yeah, he's a lot. There's been a lot of hype around Daniel Brito as of late. Like, you haven't really heard of him because last year he was in the GCL with Moniak and whatnot, but and Sixto, but as of recent, like as he's been promoted up into full season ball, and he's playing in Lakewood, he's like emerged onto like the scene of Phillies prospects. He's gonna be jumping up some people's boards for sure because you gotta figure that in a year's time, J.P. Crawford probably won't be a prospect anymore. Neither will Jorge Alfaro. Neither will Nick Williams. Neither will Roman Quinn. Rhys Hoskins probably won't be. Nick Pivetta probably won't be. So he's at 19 right now on Matt Winkelman, 18 on Matt Winkelman's board. So you gotta figure probably will be bumped up. I'll comfortably say probably top 7, top 6, maybe even top 5, depending on who we draft and if we get anybody in trades or whatnot. But yeah, he's a guy to look forward to for sure. And then there's Mark Appel. So he's started 4 games. He's been what Mark Appel has been throughout his entire minor league post-draft career. He's 17 2/3 innings. He's 1-2. The 6.11 ERA, 1.7 WHIP. The strikeout and walk ratios are a bit weird. 14.8% strikeout ratio, but an 11.1% walk. So he's walking a lot of dudes, basically. But at this point, I don't really know what to make of him. You gotta start thinking that if he doesn't pick it up by the end of the year, he's gonna be converted into the bullpen. So that's kind of where he sits.
Yeah, and he's just gonna get pushed out by guys like Sixto and Medina and Gowdy, even, who eventually will come up. Pavetta's already kind of taken over the best pitcher in Lehigh, maybe only next to Jake Thompson, who we'll get to later. But yeah, Mark Appel just makes no sense. He has seemingly all the talent, but just can never put it together for a full season or even like half a season at this point. Next on the list is Cole. Is it Stobe or like Staub?
I think it's Stabby.
Oh, okay. Well,
I really think it's like how it's pronounced, like Cole Stabby. I mean, it might be something different, but I'm pretty sure it's Stabby.
We'll go with Stabby for now. So
yeah.
But yeah,
we apologize if that's incorrect.
Yeah. He might be listening to this. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
We hope. But yeah, he has not played yet at all this year. Again, I'm assuming he's in the extended spring training as well. And again, he'll probably just play in Williamsport in late June. He's a third base prospect, one of the very few that we have, but he was drafted in the 3rd round, I want to say, last year.
Yeah.
3rd round, okay. So, again, he performed pretty well in the Gulf Coast League last year, from what I remember. We'll just kind of go from there and see what happens this year with him in Williamsport. That's pretty much all there is to say about him. It's just, like with guys like Ortiz, Gowdy, and Stabby, it's just kind of a wait and see what they got down in Williamsport.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I know he's going to be... Because I know when we drafted him, he was a shortstop, but we converted him, so...
Yeah.
He's a third base guy now, so yeah, we'll just have to wait and see kind of what he does. Another guy having a really good year at Lehigh Valley, Ricardo Pinto. He has started 4 games, 23 2/3 innings so far. He's 2-1 with a 2.28 ERA, 1.27 WHIP. Some pretty good K to strikeout to walk ratio, 17.4 to 5.1. Obviously Pinto last year an all-star. So, looking for him to kind of repeat last season, possibly be a late season call-up to the bullpen, maybe make a spot start if needed, if absolutely needed, or if we go to a 6-man rotation, maybe kind of make a spot start there. But in the long run, I'm thinking bullpen for Pinto.
Most likely, and especially with all the pitching prospects we have, it's just probably going to make the most sense for him. But but still, that doesn't mean he can't be a valuable piece for the team. He's definitely got a lot of talent, and he'll find a way somehow to be relevant for some team, if not the Phillies. Next guy on the list is the dumbass Elnor Garcia, who got suspended for steroids, basically. Yeah, you're a dumbass, dude. I can't believe that players are still getting suspended for this shit. Like, how do you not know to just not do it? Like, they're cracking down on it, and they catch, like, everyone who does it nowadays. It's...
Yeah, I don't know. It's just dumb. Like, he's a good prospect. He pitched well in spring. Like, he pitched well in spring training and everything, and obviously we kind of know why a little bit now, but...
yeah, seriously.
But still, he's I think he'll... Eventually, once he gets it together and he's whatever, he'll be fine, I think.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. It's just, he's just got to get his head on straight and just stop taking the damn steroids.
He's another guy for sure out of the pen, so.
Definitely. Yeah, he's absolutely a pen guy. There's no rotation possibility with him.
Yeah. No. So then, next guy. Here's where we start getting. Here's where we are going to start to get into some of the Clearwater freaks. So Alberto Torrado, he started 3 games. He's 1-0. He has a 1.00 ERA and a 1.11 WHIP. The walk percentage is a bit up there at that 12.5. But he is striking out about 20% of the batters he faces. So. Not a huge concern. The 12.5% is a bit high, but it's a long season. He's only in Clearwater, so he has time to figure that out. But yeah, same thing with him. I'm not sure if there's a spot in the rotation moving forward for him, but you never know. He's only in Clearwater. He has good stuff. Obviously, you can tell he has a 1.11 WHIP, 1 ERA, so he gets guys out pretty easily. He's averaging 6 innings per outing, so he has durability. Plus, he's only in the minors, so they're probably holding him back a little bit. So I don't know, possible rotation possibility, but more than likely he'll probably end up getting bumped into the bullpen, used as a trade piece, or 4th, maybe 5th starter. But you never know, especially with a guy in Clearwater.
Yeah, that's pretty much the theme with a lot of guys down there in Clearwater. Again, there's just so much pitching depth and just prospect depth at like almost every position on this team, so you never know. You're either going to be probably a starter on this team, you're going to be a bullpen guy, at least for pitchers, or you're going to be a trade piece, and it sucks for the guys who are trade pieces because you'd like to make room for everyone, but it's a 25-man roster, and there's only 5 guys in the rotation, so... But another guy who the Phillies have like such great names for their like great name prospects, SIREN Dominguez.
This is up there. This is the name. Like this is the name. I remember last year when Matt Winkelman. When I first saw Matt Winkelman mention this guy, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like we have a dude named SIREN."
Like we thought about the great fan clubs for Sixto. Bruh, the fan clubs for Sir Anthony.
There will be people with riding horses and with knight's armor at Phillies games, like.
And it's gonna be like in the dead, like the heat, like mid-July, and they're gonna be dying inside, but they're just gonna be like, it's worth it for Sir Anthony.
Yeah.
But again, he is another guy who's tearing it up down in Clearwater, like every single person in their rotation at the moment. 19 innings pitched. He has. Appeared in 4 games, 3 of them started. He is 2-0 with a .95 ERA and a .79 WHIP, and the crazy K to walk ratio, 35.7 strikeout percentage, and then only an 8.6 walk percentage. That's Clearwater. Like, well, what the fuck are they doing down there? They got like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's in the water down there, but. It's for sure something good. Just to
the water in Clearwater.
Yeah, that's maybe we know now why Brock Stats is on the list or is on the team, but just we'll kind of skip over some dudes here just to keep with the Clearwater pitching theme. So Austin Davis who is a reliever for Clearwater. He's appeared in 5 games, 12 innings. He's a bit of a middle reliever. He'll usually get you a 2-inning outing. Sometimes one he has a save. So his numbers are all these guys' numbers. Just wait till you hear these numbers. So Austin Davis, 12 innings. He has 2 wins, no losses, and a save. .75 ERA and a .83 WHIP. To go along with a 31.1% K rate and a 4.4% walk rate. So, yeah, those are some pretty solid numbers.
They are ridiculous, and to go on to the next guy with Clearwater, and again, you'll hear all the ridiculous stats at the end when we kind of finish up the Clearwater staff. But Cole Irvin for Clearwater, 3 games started and 20 innings pitched. 2 wins, 1 losses, .9 ERA and a .95 WHIP, 22.4 K percentage and a 4.00 walk percentage. Does it really get any better than the guys down there? Because
I'm not sure.
Like,
I would hate to be in that league. I would
seriously
hate to be in the Florida State League right now.
Imagine playing them on a consistent basis. You're just like, can we just forfeit because we're not scoring off of them?
It's just like, hey, tonight we get Frank. It's like, hey, tonight we get Killamay. Tomorrow we'll get Torado. The next day we'll get Dominguez, and it's like, oh, okay, we got a break. But then it's just like, yeah, until maybe the 6th or 7th inning. Then you got Austin Davis, and you got Jeff Singer, and Cole Irvin's there every 5th day. So yeah, it's not too fun for the guys down in Clearwater, the guys facing Clearwater right now. So and then the last guy for Clearwater, Jeff Singer, he is their closer. He's appeared in 7 games, and he has 5 saves and a win. .93 WHIP, .93 ERA, and 25.6% K rate, 10.3% walk rate. This is what I kind of want to point out here. He has a .93 WHIP, which is lower than Cole Irvin, who has a .95. Cole Irvin has a 4% walk rate, and Singer has a 10.3% walk rate. That tells you, I bet you Singer has to have given up maybe 5 hits this entire year.
Seriously, though. Because, how the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my... God damn.
Yeah, he has been pitching very good. Apparently, he's hit 100. Because Matt Winkleman, he has been following him a little bit lately as well. I've noticed that. I'm pretty sure that there's been reports that he's hit 100. So
all the shout-outs to Matt Winkleman for all the...
By the way, yeah, he has given up exactly 5 hits this year. I'm a wizard.
That's ridiculous. That is just... Goddamn Clearwater. That's just crazy to me. I'm speechless at how great that pitching staff is. And to kind of... this is probably pretty obvious to a lot of people, but the Clearwater pitching staff and their ranks, they are first in wins, first in ERA, first in saves, first in earned runs, and tied for first in WHIP. What the fuck?
Yeah, they're pretty much anybody that faces them is kind of screwed because they can't really score too much. So, and if you didn't know, you actually need to score runs in baseball to win. So
Mind blown.
Yeah, that might be a bit of a problem for them going forward. But yeah.
Yeah, just maybe. It's just a little small little roadblock.
Just a bit.
But they're just the theme of this episode has been Philadelphia has really good prospects, and there are just so many guys who are doing well right now. Reading has a lot of guys. Carlos Tocci, who's another guy who kind of gets thrown under the radar a little bit. He's hitting .305, 344 OBP. His walk percentage isn't that great.
Yeah.
He walks 1.6% of the time. But he's got a 12.5 strikeout percentage, so it kind of evens out in the end, but you definitely would like to see him walk just a little bit more.
Yeah, especially because he's fast. He's an outfielder. He's a center fielder. He's really fast. He's whatever. So you want him to be getting on base. He's still getting on base at a 340 clip. So
But
still,
like, imagine what
good
happens if
thing.
he walks at a higher rate, and then it's just all the stolen bases and all the havoc that he'll wreak.
Yeah, pretty much. So then next up we got Drew Anderson. I'll do this. I'll read off Anderson and Tom Eshelman's stats at the same time here, just to kind of give you a perspective of how the Reading pitchers are doing. So, Drew Anderson has started 3 games. Eshelman has started 4. And Eshelman has about 13 innings more than Anderson does. Eshelman also has a home run this year. If you didn't see that, he hit a home run.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that was awesome.
So Eshelman's ERA sitting at about a 3.7, and Anderson sitting at about a 9.3. Eshelman clearly having the better year of the two. His walk ratio is only at a 4.4 with about a 20% strikeout rate, and Anderson has a almost 7% walk rate with just a 9% strikeout rate. So those two guys probably the heads of the Reading staff, and with how well Reading has been hitting, because it's Reading, we'd like to see them step it up a little bit, but you could get it because they're pitching in that ballpark. So
yeah, exactly. It's a little bit hard to, have a good ERA in that ballpark.
Yeah. And
to attest to that, the next guy on the list, Andrew Poulin, an outfielder.
Mashing.
Just, ridiculous. He's hitting 358, 403 OBP, 1.104 OPS, which is the second highest in the Phillies farm system. Yeah. A 396 BABIP, and 19.4 strikeout percentage, and a 5.6 walk percentage. So again, you'd like to see the walk percentage a little bit higher, but again, he's hitting 358, and he's got 5 home runs with a 1.104 OPS. So it's to point out, like the 5.6 walk percentage is really nitpicking to find faults in his start to the year.
Yeah, he would if he's in any other system, he's in AAA right now.
Oh yeah, easily.
But it's just the fact that we have 3 insanely good, potentially extremely talented, potential starting all-star outfielders in AAA. So yeah, he's kind of stuck at Reading right now until one of those guys gets called up. He could have gotten time in Lehigh Valley had the Phillies decided to call up one of maybe Roman Quinn to replace Howie Kendrick when he landed on the DL, but they ended up signing Ty Kelly instead. Whatever.
Ty Kelly.
But Poulin, he'll probably end the year at Lehigh Valley for sure, because there's no way that all of Cousins and even Cam Perkins and Quinn and Williams will all be there at the end of the year. So Poulin probably will finish the year at AAA.
Yep, and then
Bailey Falter, yeah. So Bailey Falter is he's started really good. He hasn't walked a batter yet through 3 starts, 13 innings. But he does have a 4.85 ERA and a 1.23 WHIP, so a bit of he's off to a good start for sure. The ERA is a bit high. But still he's the back end of the Lakewood rotation, I believe. I want to say he's the 4th, maybe 5th starter. So, guys are they're gonna think that, they're gonna hit off him a lot. But his whip is fine. It's at a 1.23. His K rate not bad at a 16.4. So, Billy Falter, and he's only, I believe, 19, maybe 20, but I think he's only 19. So, and he's got a lot of stuff to kind of work on, as does every minor leaguer. So, yeah,
he's got time to do it too.
He's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Him and Jojo Romero, who Kyle will talk about next, but those are some of the guys that I think might be flying under the radar for the foreseeable future.
Yep, and then to go off of that, Jojo Romero, really similar whip. He's got a 1.22. He has a little bit better rounded stats except for the walk percentage, because, well, you can't exactly get better than not walking anyone. But he's got 4 starts. He's 0-1, but he's only got a 2.75 ERA, so that just goes to show you that no one is scoring for him. And that's obviously not his fault, because he's the freaking pitcher, which a lot of people still seem to not grasp that concept, which is crazy to me. But he's got a 28.10 strikeout percentage, which is really good. And just another guy who he had a great start to his career last year, and it's only getting better this year. And another guy who, as we've mentioned before, should be on like the fast track to Clearwater and then Reading and obviously Lehigh and then Philly.
Yeah, a little bit of a fun fact about Jojo Romero. There has never in the history of baseball been a player named Jojo. So if he makes it to the majors, he'll be the first ever. So
he has to be then. That's fun. It must happen.
Mhm. Yeah. So then to complement the final piece of our second base prospects in the system, Jesmo Valentin. He has also gone off to a good start. He was doing a little bit better, but he's kind of dropped off a bit. Hitting about 270, 328 on base, 373 slug, 701 OPS with a 313 BABIP. He's striking out at about 3 times more than he's walking. He's at about a 15.6% strikeout rate and about a 6.3% walk rate. Has a home run. He's not really known for his power though, so that's fine. No steals, which is a bit surprising. He's quick, as most second basemen are. So a bit surprised that he doesn't have any steals, but still got off to a pretty decent start. It was hard. Believe me, it's hard to keep up the numbers that he was putting up, because I sent a message to Kyle the other day, and I was like, name these 4 players, and they're all in the system. And he named 4 players. He got 2 of them right, which isn't bad. But 2 of the names right, but they weren't necessarily the right stats. But like they were our second base. It's pretty much our second base system, from Cesar to Valentin to Kingery to Brito, and they're all really good numbers. And Valentin was the worst of them, and he was hitting like 290 something at the time. So
what we're trying to say is the Phillies are loaded at second base.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And then to go off of that, another guy who I feel like has kind of flown under the radar a little bit, Cord Sandberg down in Lakewood. He's hitting 309 to start the year, 352 OBP, 432 slugging, which is really nice to see. A 414 BABIP, which is really, really nice to see. Striking out a bit, he's at 25.8%. And 4.5 with walk percentage. Not the best, but he's still at that like 350 OBP, so can't really complain too much. And it should even out as the season goes on, because that's just how percentages work. He's got a home run and 3 stolen bases to start the year too, so another really good start for one of the many outfielders we have in the system.
Yeah, like you were saying, he does fly under the radar a little bit, and that's with a lot of guys in the system, just because of how top-heavy, not really top-heavy, but just because of how many potential future studs we have at the top. So
exactly.
So then Nick Fanti up next, also at Lakewood. He's a pitcher, starter. He has 3 starts, 15.2 innings pitched. He has a win, no losses. His numbers are also very good. He has a 1.15 ERA and a .89 WHIP. It's almost as if he's pitching in Clearwater, but he's not. So he's a 25.4% K rate and a 9.5% walk rate. Nick Fanti, I believe last year, ended the year. I want to say he ended the year at Lakewood last year. I'm not exactly sure. I forget, but I don't know. He has the stuff, because I've seen some video and I've seen some scouting reports on him, and he's kind of one of those guys that he's not gonna like overwhelm you. Oh, by the way, he didn't. He was in rookie ball last year, so yeah, that's the thing. But he's not gonna overwhelm you with like extremely good stuff, but he can get you. So he has a 25% K rate. So he's striking out about 1 every 4 batters, which as a starter, it's good. Like that's a good rate. But the thing that he doesn't really have a lot of strikeout stuff. So and plus he's only in Lakewood, so the hitters aren't as good. So it kind of shows as to why he's at a 25% K rate. But he's also at about a 10% walk rate. So not the best of numbers there, but overall everywhere else he's looking solid.
And he's got time to get better too. So it's not like there's really any pressure on him to be a stud with all the guys that are in the system already. So
yeah,
he can definitely just put it together. And like you said, he's got great numbers other than the walk percentage, really. But even that's not really that alarming. So
yeah.
On the next guy, again, the names in this system, Ranger Suarez. Just, I love these names. The fan group possibilities.
Yeah,
the fan groups. He has started 4 games in Lakewood, and again, you would think he pitches in Clearwater with these stats. 22 and a third, only 1 win, no losses, but his ERA is a .81 and a WHIP of .85. And yet he only has 1 win. So anyone who tries to use wins as an important stat, just shut up, please. A 36.1 strikeout percentage and only 8.4 walk percentage. Again, you would think he's pitching in Clearwater with how good that is.
Yeah, by the end of the year, I don't see how he'll probably, like most of these guys like Ranger Suarez, like Nick Fanti, they'll probably end the year in Clearwater.
Yeah.
Per se, just because of the pitching kind of carousel that's gonna happen up the top. So you're gonna need fill-in. So some of the guys in Reading, like your Tom Eshelmans, like your Drew Andersons, like your Brandon LeBrants or LeBrant, however the hell you pronounce it. So some of those guys are gonna be called up to Lehigh Valley because some of the guys in Lehigh Valley are gonna be called up to the majors. So Ranger Suarez, probably one of the top candidates from Lakewood to get the call to Clearwater. So I don't really see how he wouldn't, unless they want to kind of preserve him since he only is in Lakewood. But I don't know. I still think they'll kind of push him just a little bit, just because you kind of need to push some of the guys in Lakewood at some points, but most of the time you don't really want to do that too much. But I think you can get away with it every once in a while. So then, like I said, Brandon LeBrant, I think. Brandon LeBrant, maybe, I don't know. So he has really good numbers as well. That little noise I made is because of the walk rate. But so he has 3 starts. He's 2-0. Has a 1.69 ERA and a 1 WHIP. And he has a 24.2% K rate and a 1.6% walk rate. So that is very good, obviously. I don't know. He's like his like absolute ceiling is probably like a 5 starter, maybe a number 4 starter. So I don't know. There's not too much to look forward to with him. I mean, the numbers he's putting up right now are great. So obviously there has to be a little bit of excitement around him. But in the long run, I probably see him no more than maybe a bullpen piece, maybe a piece in a trade that gets us like a solid role player. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he's been a guy who always like has really good numbers, but he just never there's just not enough hype around him to get him like that much recognition or get him like up to AAA or just have him be as like one of the top prospects in the system. But again, he's always a guy who seems to put up like pretty good or like decent numbers. So yeah, I hope that he just kind of keeps putting it together and maybe he can just turn into a trade piece and he can succeed somewhere else, because I just, like you said, it's going to be hard to see him really being anything in this system with all the depth we have. But
yeah.
To go on to the second to last player we got, Cam Perkins in Lehigh Valley, who was almost a guy who made the Phillies to start the year out of spring training. He's hitting .283 to start the year, a .368 OBP, a .306 BABIP, and these are the numbers that I really like. He's got a 10.3 walk percentage and a 13.2 strikeout percentage, so he's he's pretty efficient, to say the least. Like, he's not striking out a lot, and he's walking at a decent amount. It could be higher, but 10.3 is a pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, Cam Perkins is... That's pretty much what Cam Perkins has been in the minors for the last couple of years at this point. He's pretty much been a AAA staple in the Phillies system since 2015, late 2015-ish. So, you know, at this point, I don't really know what to expect from Perkins. I would presume that at some point this year he might make it up if an injury happens again, because I'm not sure if we're going to want Ty Kelly as the replacement. I might as well, you know, give our own guys some time to do some possible impressing. So that's Cam Perkins, and then to move on to our final prospect, not even prospect anymore. Our final minor leaguer, former 5-star in the major leaguer, Jake Thompson. Also, he's off to a bit of a shaky start, but it's fine. He's Jake Thompson. He'll figure it out. So he started 4 games. He's 1-3. He has an 8.64 ERA and a 1.8 WHIP. Bit of alarming numbers. Does have a 22.8% K rate, which is, I believe it's a little bit higher than what he's usually at, because I know he doesn't have a lot of strikeout stuff, because he's not really... He can get you out. He'll get you a lot of ground ball, fly ball outs, but not too many strikeouts. And he does have an 11.4% walk rate, which is a bit high. But when you pitch for contact a lot of the times and you pitch on the edges, that's what you're going to get. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not worrying about Thompson yet. The star factor in him kind of died out last year when he came up and just got shelled pretty much from the time he was up here. Obviously, the last few starts were big improvements over the first few, but I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to be what... Obviously, he was never going to be what he was last year in AAA. That's just a fact, because that's not who he was. But, you know, he's still a solid pitcher. Could be middle of the rotation, probably like a 4th, 5th guy in the rotation. He'll probably be up at some point as well this year. So, yeah, stuff to look forward to with him. Not a ton, but he's gonna stick around for a while. You gotta still have faith in him.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of have to put faith in him because he was basically the most important piece from the Cole Hamels trade. So, you almost just have to kind of put some faith in him just until he proves that there is no more faith to be had. But I don't think he's, again, like you said, I don't think there's like a star factor with him anymore. But it doesn't mean he can't be a solid piece in the rotation, and I think that he still could be.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that'll do it for our prospect run through. We had a lot, obviously, from JP to Moniak to Pinto to Valentin to the Clearwater
monster
domination.
Yeah.
To the end. So to Jake Thompson. So yeah, that'll do it for the minor leaguers. We are running at some serious timage right now, Kyle.
This is
a fantastic episode. This probably would have been about a half hour shorter if not for the Flyers.
The Flyers decided to fuck everything.
Amazing thing, but
yeah, I mean, it's
we're
amazing.
Not going to complain.
Yeah,
we're not going to complain. So
God no, the Flyers had the number 2 pick. Holy shit.
So since I introed, that means that I kind of, got to do the hot take of the day, which, is, I'm making it up in my head as we go along right here, right now. I'm not even gonna lie. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of had it a little bit before.
Okay.
So, my kind of thing, I'm gonna not keep it short, but I'm gonna say this, right? So obviously there was a ton of controversy in the draft this year, with more than in recent years, with guys getting drafted that have a history of all this horrible stuff that they did, whatever. But so like obviously the main culprit being Joe Mixon, who was drafted by the Bengals, and then Chad Kelly, who ended up going as Mr. Irrelevant, which is the last pick of the draft, if you didn't know. He ended up getting drafted by the Broncos,
Yeah,
I
the
think.
Broncos.
Yeah, the Broncos, final in the draft. And then there's a bunch of other guys. Like, you pretty much the notifications beyond the first round that you got from ESPN or a lot of other places were the guys that got drafted who have a history of trouble. I'm going to say this. While I wouldn't want to personally deal with any of these guys, really, like, Joe Mixon, as much as I want to give him a second chance, I don't know if I can, really. But I'm kind of happy that some of these teams gave some of these guys second chances, because that's really all you could do. Like, sure, obviously we know the what they did is pretty much inexcusable. Most of the guys, some of the guys who were, busted for, some like substance abuse, not like PEDs, but like marijuana or whatnot. But what those guys did is a little bit more forgiving, because some of these guys come from just horrible places and whatnot. But like what Joe Mixon did, obviously inexcusable. But I'm happy somewhat that somebody gave him a second chance, although I'm happy it's not the Eagles. In a sense, his talent obviously is really good, but everything else not so much. So my kind of take on it is I'm happy teams gave him second chances, but while I am happy that they gave him it, I wouldn't want to be the ones giving him the second chance.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I was terrified when I saw that Mixon would be available for the Eagles to select at 43. I was hoping that both him and Dalvin Cook would be gone. Cook did get selected before the Eagles were up in the second, but Mixon was still there. And I know a lot of people said that, the Eagles won't draft him. Sure, you can say that all you want, and the Eagles can say that all they want, but how much... And again, like, they didn't select him. That's the important thing. They didn't go down that path. But you kind of always have that thought in the back of your head, how much are they just saying this because they think that he's not going to be there?
Yeah.
And that's where I was worried, because I'm like, they can say that all they want, but when it comes down to it, if he's there, all of a sudden do their minds change? And again, like you said, if I'm a GM, I'm not dealing with that. There's no excuse for that. You are a absolute shit human being if you punch a woman, and there's no if and or buts about that. I don't think I'm happy about teams giving him a second chance, or guys like Jordan Lewis, or however you pronounce his name. The Cowboys drafted him. And even Dalvin Cook. I feel like a lot of people forget that Dalvin Cook had a charge against him for that, which is crazy because he was more kind of like highly touted than Mixon, if I'm not mistaken. So it's weird that they just kind of push that under the carpet or whatever. But again, like you said, I do believe in second chances. It's just for guys who do that stuff, it's a lot harder for me to believe in second chances than it is for some dude who smoked pot or a Mike Vick. I know that's a touchy subject, and I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about that. And in no way what Mike Vick did was right. He was absolute garbage for what he did. But there is a big difference between what Vick did and what Mixon did, and that's just the way it is. I'm not going to get too much into that, but yeah, it's a very strange thing. I'm just glad the Eagles didn't go down that path. I'm glad that they stuck to guys who, didn't punch a woman in the face, because that's a quality that I feel like is very important. But,
and I also feel like the situation with the two is different, because Vic had already been in the league for a few years more than a few years at that point, when it was found out that he did what he did. Mixon wasn't even drafted yet, so I feel like if he was already in the league, like Ray Rice was, then it would be like there would be nobody. Like obviously, you saw what with Ray Rice happened. Nobody ever got him again. He's gone pretty much.
That's so you're right about that. That is a good point.
So like I feel like if and plus what Vic did, obviously like you said, a little bit toned down. It doesn't make it right in any way, and still, but yeah, I don't know. It like you said, it is a lot harder to give Mixon a second chance, but I don't know. I guess I'm content with somebody giving him one, and of all teams, it's the Bengals, of course.
Yeah,
because,
like that's the most least surprising thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
Like if Mixon was going to get drafted by someone, it was going to be the Bengals, the Raiders, or the Cowboys. Or the Ravens.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, those are the 4 teams that would select someone like him. And,
pretty much, yeah.
And the Cowboys basically did it later on. They just, they didn't pick the main guy.
Yeah. To a lesser kind of cause extent, but...
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, as long as, that's really it for my thing. As long as you don't have any, other topics you'd like to talk about, I'm out.
Yeah,
we're 2.5 hours into this.
The room I'm recording in is, like, the hottest room in my house, and I think I'm, like... From the Flyers thing to the heat, I'm just, like, my brain is just mush, and I'm so glad that I don't work tomorrow. I don't have to get up for school tomorrow, because I don't think I would be able to do it.
Yeah.
I might just pass out.
Sundays are always nice. But yeah, so that'll do it for this episode, the 14th one, of the Drive podcast. For Kyle, I'm Jared. Thank you for bearing with us. If you stayed with us for 2.5 hours, you're awesome. I'm certain nobody did, but if you did, you're dope. So follow us on Twitter, The Drive Podcast. It's just at The Drive Pod. Each of us are on Twitter as well. You can find us on there as well. Kyle's is like, Jakob Skorchek because he's like a Flyer. Yeah, but mine's J Powell 26. So
I'll put it in the description. And
it's always there. So that'll do it for the 14th episode of the Drive Podcast. As always, thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
The Flyers have the second pick.
They do. Fly ball left field. Tagging from third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it. Makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rupp hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Cameron Rupp hangs on!
Wow.
Everybody to their feet. What a play by Cameron Rupp. The throw took him into the baseline. He grabs it, hangs on, takes the contact, and the ball.